My name is Susanna Fernandez Gomez, and I am the head of Modern Foreign Languages at Shaftesbury School in North Dorset. I am really sorry that I cannot show you my face at the moment, but we've been having some difficulties at my school with webcam shortage. And cutting the story short, it was a lot easier just to record this presentation only with my voice rather than my image. So I do apologize for that. If you're intrigued by what I might look like, then you can follow me on Twitter. I'm particularly interested in connecting with middle leaders that are aspiring to become senior leaders and perhaps are finding this process a little bit tough, and certainly with current senior leaders who can give me some tips on how to make the leap into senior leadership. I have very recently completed a Master's in Educational Leadership with the NCE in association with Buckingham University, which I thoroughly enjoyed and I highly recommend, and where I was given many opportunities to reflect on leadership styles and their impact, including my own style. And the aim of today's presentation is to hopefully make you reflect on what type of leader you have been at your school, whether you are a middle leader, a senior leader, head teacher, CEO, even a teacher, because I do think that all teachers are leaders. We are leading our students, we are leading our colleagues, we are leading our parents as well, teaching assistants, support staff. So I think it's very important that if you work in education, you reflect on how you are leading people around you. I am focusing the leadership reflections on how in the current scenario, situation, crisis that we're facing at the moment, COVID-19, schools are in great need of servant leadership. And I'm hoping that I convince you that we all need to be servant leaders, no matter what type of leader we think we are generally, but at this moment in time, we need to certainly display characteristics of servant leadership. I think we are all responsible to find ways to reconnect and collaborate with our students, parents and staff, and to certainly listen very carefully to their fears and concerns they might have. These are our people, these are our followers, and at the end of the day, a leader without their followers is nobody. They could be a manager, they could be a boss, but certainly not a leader, because to own that title proudly is only if people are following you for who you are and what you represent, rather than out of fear they do what you say because they think they have to. We have to make sure that these people, our followers, are heard and supported, and we need to show them empathy and authenticity, especially at the current time, and certainly take steps that will unite us all, students, parents, staff, all the groups obviously join together in preparation for the challenges ahead. We need to be very open, I believe, and share our personal concerns, because we are not invincible, and our experiences with our team members, as well as providing them with reassurances. Certainly, this is the time to show compassion and encourage our teams to higher levels of effectiveness. It's not all about high expectations, because we have many challenges ahead and a tough job to do. But in order to get this out of our students, out of our staff, even out of our parents, we need to demonstrate care for those people that we want to get stuff out of. This way, we have a better chance that we will be bringing the best out in everyone. We are certainly responsible for finding solutions to problems, and we must walk away from being too or become too self-focused and appreciate differences. That is not just the way we believe we have to live or the way we are told we have to live. Other people will be seeing this differently, and we need to appreciate these differences and recognize the importance of mutual trust and acceptance of the ideas of others. We certainly need to rethink how we inspire our teams. So as you can see on the screen, transparency, empathy, and thoughtfulness, which summarize the ideas that I have explained now, are key. We need to be human. We need to be unconditionally compassionate. And we need to rethink how we inspire our followers. Now, the key more than ever is certainly human connection. We need a people-centric approach. When I recently completed my MED on educational leadership, as I said, with the NCE, one of my essays was on leadership styles, focusing my research and my reflections on servant leadership. And I'm sure you're familiarized with Robert K. Greenleaf and what he wrote in one of his essays on servant leadership. And he states that ego focuses on one's own survival, is selfish. It sees relationships in terms of threat or no threat, like little children who see people as nice or mean, quite a simplistic approach. Whereas conscience, on the other hand, is the one that elevates the ego to a larger sense of the group, the whole, the community, the greater good. It sees life in terms of service and contribution, in terms of others, security and fulfillment. And this is why it's so important to be this servant to our followers. And I know some leaders do freak out when they hear this word, thinking, well, I am the boss, I am the head, I am the CEO, I am the head of the department, I am the head of ES7 or whatever it might be. I'm certainly not anyone's servant. But if we want our followers to actually be this amazing member of the staff that is gonna have these high expectations that we expect them to have, and commit to the success of our departments or our schools, we certainly need to be humble about ourselves and passionate about them, and not just care for the success of the students and the well-being of students, which we do, I think, all of the time. But I think too often we sacrifice the well-being of our staff and the success of our staff, including our own, where the focus is so much on achievement and targets that we lose focus of our moral values and our vision. So we should never let the ego overrule the conscience, and we are the ones who have the power to lead in a way or another. I appreciate within certain rules, but how we lead our followers will certainly be the difference between success or failure. At this moment in time, the most important thing is not giving up on anyone, because going back into schools at the moment, as you will agree with me on sort of week 2, end of week 2, we're all exhausted and drained and mentally burnt out, but we have to be there for our followers because they need us. And how we deal with this crisis is going to determine how they perceive our leadership. The difference between any of leader and the servant leader is that the servant leader puts um, other people first. They are servant first. They are leader secondly. Whereas the leader will be the one that puts themselves first and then the needs of the people if they do that. In fields that are vital in this pandemic, like education, of course, you might believe that values like caring and being there for others are part of the role, but sadly, not every leader embodies these traits successfully or purposely. Um, and Greenleaf again has said that the leader who is a servant first is the one that will always get the best out of people. Of course, the servant and the one that puts themselves first are two extreme examples, and there are many shades in between. And you might be thinking, well, I don't think I am the tick or the cross, I'm somewhere in between. But certainly, whoever you are, whichever your leadership style is at this current time, and I think for a while, until we see the light again, we need to direct ourselves more towards being a servant to our followers. Um, in terms of our schools, our trusts, or our departments, um, we need to make sure that we care and serve each other, because we cannot expect our followers, our staff, our students, the parents of our students to do what we want them to do, what we expect them to do, if we don't do it for them first, if we don't lead by example. Some I think is common sense, because I'm the boss, you are the employee, I'm the teacher, you are the student, I'm the teacher, you are the parent, therefore you should be doing these things I'm saying to you. It doesn't really sink into people's brains. Most of the time you actually need to see this person projecting this behavior for you to actually buy into it, and that's what we mustn't forget. So to be able to have these members of staff that will do anything for us, so these students that will do anything for us, we certainly have to be serving in the sense that we are meeting their needs. How to develop servant leadership? I can't think of an effective leader, a successful leader, a leader whose followers will respect and be inspired by, that won't show these characteristics. There are some that are very basic, and you will agree with me, and I'm not going to read each one of them, but I think perhaps the one we forget sometimes is the persuasion, and we tend to often say, well, I've been told by the government, or I've been told by the CEO, or I've been told by the head, I've been told by the deputy, I've been told by my line manager, therefore you have to do it. I think it's more about finding the positives out of something and persuading people that there are positives of doing it, even if at times we don't believe it ourselves. And certainly we mustn't forget that we are committed to grow people as well, not just as professionals, but as people. And we are the ones that should be building this sense of community. So yeah, the students are the center of it, but students without good teachers will suffer. Students with unhappy teachers will suffer. And I think staff well-being, including that of leaders, is being left to one side at the moment, and it's very, very important that we don't forget that staff are extremely important as well, and that includes ourselves. There is another very interesting read that I did during my studies when I did my master's. And this book is called The Psychology Behind Effective Crisis Leadership, which might be something you want to read before bed if you have nothing better to do. It's by Gianpiero Petrugieri, and it advocates the essence of holding as a concept from psychology, describing the way someone contains and interprets events in uncertain times. And this containing refers to the ability to soothe distress, and interpreting to the ability to help others make sense of a confusing predicament. And you can see how this fits perfectly well with what's going on now. It's very confusing, the whole thing, um, especially when we have U-turn after U-turn and bits of guidance after bits of guidance. So I think it's our job still in the middle of that chaos to offer reassurance about a person's life, a person's job, uh, the school, the future, and presenting a clear direction to them. These are all part of holding. Um, in this particular book is analyzed how in groups whose leaders can hold, show mutual support for each other, work continues and a new vision eventually emerges. When leaders are unable to hold and cannot hold the members of the staff, um, cannot spread this vision of holding each other, anxiety, anger, and fragmentation happens. And that's why it's so important that at this moment in time, as leaders, we are holding our followers. Sharing ideas, communicating is, of course, very, very important as well. And engaging employees in finding solutions rather than us feeling that we are dictated by, again, government, CEO, head, deputy head, line manager, etc. And we have to then transfer this message to our followers, teachers, etc. We have to find a way to engage them in this situation, so they feel that whichever project we decide to embark on, they feel part of. We need to be resilient, of course, ourselves, and lead by example, showing people how it's done if we want it done that way. And again, in times of perceived danger like the ones we have now, it's very normal to see the fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's why it's so important to live by example, because how we respond, whether we fight, flight, or freeze, is going to really tell our followers what type of leader we are, and well, it's going to determine a lot how they conduct themselves as well. So it's really, really important to lead by example. I know it's a very cliche thing, but very, very important at this point in time. And I'm modeling the kind of attitudes and behaviors we want to see, showing, again, calmness, sharing ideas, gratitude, compassion, encouraging we before me, and certainly, very, very important, something we forget often is walking our talk. If you don't walk your talk, then things certainly become a lot harder. And this is the end of my presentation. On the screen now you can see two very inspirational servant leaders. I think you will agree with me that they've done certainly amazing things for the community. And if you want a more current example of what servant leadership looks like, certainly Women Ed have done it for me. They are there, out there, for women, for men, for leaders, for aspiring leaders, for diverse leaders, doing it all out of their own back. So that is possibly, to me, the best example of servant leadership at this point in time, that inspires me and keeps me going, and helps me with my fight. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I look forward to connecting to many of you soon. Take care. Bye bye.